Captain Josh Phillips here with Minnehaha County Sheriff's Department. Just want to give you an update from a call that we had on Saturday. I believe we did a press briefing, a brief one, Saturday morning, near the intersection of 261st Street and 483rd Avenue and 484th Avenue. Deputies responded to what appeared to be a fire in the ditch. Deputies were able to observe a body at that location. Detectives were immediately called on scene. We were later able to determine the identity of the victim. That victim's last name is Carlstrom, C-A-R-L-S-T-R-O-M. First, Savon, S-A-I-V-A-U-G-H-N, middle of Robert, who is a 22-year-old Sioux Falls resident. Throughout the course of the investigation of discovering Savon, we were able to determine a suspect in this case. Through the investigation process, we did make an arrest yesterday. That individual's last name is Walker, common spelling, first of Lamont, L-A-M-O-N-T, middle of Dion, D-I-O-N, who is a 48-year-old man, resident of Sioux Falls. Mr. Walker is being charged with 3 counts. First one is first-degree murder. Second count is kidnapping in the first degree. And the third count is rape in the second degree. So he will make his initial arraignment today at 1:30. And we're still currently actively working this case. There's still a lot of information to obtain. So if the public has any additional information on any of the incidents that occurred before or during, please contact us utilizing Crime Stoppers or contact the Sheriff's Office. But again, very significant incident, and to work with the other agencies, we're able to, I think, quickly figure out what had transpired. We're still going to keep working that. And again, the initial arraignment is today, and further interviews and interviews will be conducted later on. So that's all the information we're really going to release in regards to these charges. Do you guys have any further questions for me?
You had an endangered missing person come out. Can you talk about that any? Is that related in any way? Or?
We're not going to discuss that relation, if there is a relation at this time. It's still an ongoing investigation, and due to privacy with the Marcy's law and everything that, we're not going to release any of that.
Can you say, so it was a male victim that was found in the ditch?
Yes.
Okay.
And then Sheriff Milstead is going to talk briefly about our interagency cooperation for this investigation.
Morning, Mike Milstead, Sheriff of Minnehaha County. I just wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about how this case moved forward and the multiple units that were involved in investigating this and how they work together. From the time the deputy discovered a fire in a ditch about 5:17 on Saturday morning, you had all hands on deck. When he discovered that body, we had the assistance of the Brandon Police Department. Our Minnehaha County deputies activated our investigators right away. And while at the scene, I called the investigative captain for the Sioux Falls Police Department, who offered full assistance of his department as well. And so within a fairly short time, we probably had a total of 20 to 25 investigators, police officers, deputy sheriffs working this case. Just for the people that are your listeners and viewers, the interagency cooperation in this community is second to none. Watching how they conducted the investigation, you don't know which person in the room as they're talking strategies and the next steps. You don't know which one's a deputy sheriff, which one's a Sioux Falls police officer. You just see this group of trained professionals working together in the right direction. And ultimately, this case involved 2 victims. A victim that was murdered and found in the ditch by the deputy that noticed the fire, and then you had a victim of kidnapping and rape. And to successfully conclude that investigation, or at least the major part of the investigation, and arrest the individual that we believe is responsible within the weekend hours, is something that I look at the people that worked on this case, and I just applaud their efforts and applaud the work that they did, and that working relationship that we have. So as Captain Phillips indicated, it's not over. We continue to do additional interviews. We continue to follow up, processing more evidence, and certainly our investigators have been working with family members because this impacts quite a few people. So again, I just wanted to thank my officers, thank the police officers that helped. And it was interesting, even yesterday, the number of not only detectives but also uniformed police officers that were involved, SWAT personnel that were involved in a rescue, and those types of efforts. So it was across the board. Metro Communications did an excellent job in this situation, even connecting with work that had been done in our county jail by correctional staff previously. Just all comes together and shows a cohesive working relationship that I think is second to none. So if anybody has any questions, Mike?
You said a rescue. Was the missing person rescued, or?
There was a rescue of an individual that was being held. Yes, that occurred yesterday.
Can you talk about the public's role? I mean, it sounds like you know a lot with your investigators and everything that you've done, but you want to nail down every detail, I'm sure. What, did you travel around the community, or?
Well, I mean, because, this happened out on a township road, just east of the city of Brandon. So we're dealing with processing a crime scene there. There was ultimately a rescue that occurred yesterday that involved Sioux Falls Police and Minnehaha County deputies. So we have a scene there that needs to be processed. In Minnehaha County and Sioux Falls, the crime lab is operated by the Sioux Falls Police Department in a partnership. They were on scene out on east of Brandon with us within the hour, and they continue to work as we speak on processing evidence related to that scene. There's got to be an autopsy conducted, and that gathers more evidence. And so, we're early in that part of the investigation, but certainly there was a lot initially, but it doesn't stop when the arrest is made.
I was getting at, if people saw these people before, you want to know everything they did?
Certainly. I mean, if anybody, now that names have been released of the victim, names have been released of the individual arrested, if anybody has information related to their activity within the last 3 or 4 days, or even previous to that, if it could relate to this case, we'd certainly encourage people to call. And the nice thing is, you can either call the sheriff's office or you could call Crime Stoppers, 367-7007, and report those tips. Could be rewards, depends on what the tips lead to. But certainly we're interested in the activity of not only the victim that we've identified, but also the suspect that's been arrested, and any relationship between the two that, or knowledge that the public has. Eyes and ears of the public is always proven to be a huge advantage in our community because of our public's willingness to step up and do what's right. So.
Where was that suspect arrested?
Suspect was arrested yesterday.
Where?
Where at?
Yeah.
What's the address?
I see here.
Well, he's actually arrested here, but he was taken into custody at a different location on the east side of town.